with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
There you go. There you have it. We're back. We're live. It is another brand new edition of Talking Ball. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. Welcome into the show. Welcome back. It is a Wednesday morning here inside the 97.7 ESPN, the Zone Studios. We got a lot of fun stuff, a lot of good stuff. 2 hours of sports conversation for you this morning. College football news and notes. We're going to throw in some baseball. We'll throw in some softball. And we'll throw in all kinds of other stuff along the way. 256-576-4977. That's the number for you to join the program on a Wednesday morning, as we'll be with you till 9. So safe travels into work, into school, wherever you may be headed. Not much left in school. A lot of finals getting ready to get started all across on the college level. High school level, things starting to wind down. Baseball, softball, soccer, all in playoff modes there. So time really starting to wind down. One thing that is also winding down is the transfer portal. The window closed.
I guess. I don't know.
Closed, supposedly. Well, okay, so the window is closed. Now, here's the thing. You will still find people going into the portal for the next 2 or 3 days. And you're going to be, well, I thought the window was closed. Well, it is closed, but remember, once you fill out the paperwork, it takes about 24, 48, sometimes 72 hours before that actually gets out and becomes official. You can go in and fill out the paperwork and all that, and once you fill out the paperwork, you're good. As long as you filled it out, I believe, by midnight last night, then you are fine. The process will take a little bit before you're actually all officially official in the portal, but you fill it out. And the reason why I say that is because it looks like Alabama is going to lose a defensive back in the transfer portal.
This was already reported 2 weeks ago that Tony Mitchell was going into the portal. He responded with a cap, which means, not so fast, la, la, la. But everybody knew this was happening. I mean, it's no shock to anyone. I basically had already, it's considered him gone because he got in trouble when he first got down there. And, he was arrested in Miami. He had to go through a lot of protocol and a lot of, discipline situations to earn his way back on the squad with Coach Saban. He was basically suspended and then worked his way back, but he did not play much at all last year. And so when it was reported he was very likely going into the portal, you can believe it because there was a coaching change for one thing. The previous staff recruited him, not the current staff, and he didn't play a lot. And so all these kids want to play, so it was no surprise at all. I mean, it was just like, oh, okay. It took 2 weeks to become officially official, but I mean, I think everybody understood that he was definitely
the direction it was going.
Yeah, I mean, he was exploring his options, and look, he was not a factor in spring practice, and I don't even think he was on the 2 deep, and so he can go somewhere else, restart his career, and hopefully get on the field. I mean, that's the goal, and so it opens up another spot, and it's why Alabama's been trying to add depth to the secondary. They did not get Ed Woods. He went to Michigan State, which was coming out of the weekend. That seemed to be where things were trending, and we'll see. I mean, we know that Alabama. I think Khalil Jacobs is coming in this weekend after visiting Auburn and Missouri. He's a linebacker, and Brody Smoot on Twitter. He does a good job. He basically, after Tony Mitchell transferred, he put out a list of what he thinks is where Alabama is at the 85, and he had 83, and that's probably close to accurate because you never know who actually truly is on a full ride from the standpoint of sometimes these guys, if they come from backgrounds where their parents are affluent enough, they pay your way. You don't know
it. Or you could be on an academic scholarship, which does not count towards the 85 scholarship limit.
But, I mean, the 83 guys he listed, you could very easily say, okay, these guys are on scholarship. So, but nobody except for the coaches ever really know the true number.
Right.
Somebody asked me on X last night, and I just said, hey, it's unknown, but they do have, room to add some guys, and they will. And so we'll see. We'll see if like you just told the listeners, if in the next day or two, if a couple of more names hit the point. I mean, I'll just say this: in the last 24 hours, as far as all over college football, I mean, Matt Zennett's Hummer and all those guys, man, and Nakos, I mean, it's just been like rapid fire. I mean, guys are hitting the portal
you knew this
officially.
day was coming. This was the spring onslaught that people thought was coming. Now, still
not the superstar onslaught.
I was just going to say, though, it's not guys
Right.
that are going to come in and be difference makers in your program right now. These are
in most
guys
cases,
that are
yeah.
going to come in and help with depth.
Yeah.
You may get a starter. You may not. Chances are you're probably not going to get a starter or that game breaker, that game changer.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of guys in the portal.
Yeah, and again, I think there's one other deadline that's going to pass, I guess, at midnight tonight, and I think that's the grad transfer one. I think they got an extra day, and so they get an extra day to get their paperwork in or whatever, and because it used to be they didn't have a drop dead day. It's just if you graduated, you were able to move. But now the NCAA's kind of changed that, and I think that's a good move. I think it should be almost concurrent because that way you don't have a guy just decide to bail on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like, okay, well, you made me run too many gassers. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Because I've got, but I mean, he's got his degree. I understand it. But I mean, if you're gonna move on, move on. I mean, it's not going to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Well, I like my position today, but if I have a bad week of practice, man, I'm bailing. So, what I'm saying? Let's see where it goes. And
well,
it's the world we live in right now. College basketball is crazy. The college basketball has actually been where the star power's been.
you're right.
Where all these guys are moving and it was kind of humorous watching Jeff Goodman of the Field of 68 last night. I mean, he's a hardcore pickleballer like you. I guess he'd struggled on the pickleball courts and he was a little frustrated. And then he was just like, "I'm sick of the portal." He goes, "I'm just so glad this is about to be over."
So one of the guys that has gone into the portal,
Yeah,
is Michigan State offensive lineman Ethan Boyd.
yeah.
And Ethan Boyd played for current Alabama offensive line coach Chris Kapilovic.
Mm-hmm.
Does Alabama?
I haven't heard any visits being set up, but I mean, they do need depth along the O-line. I did notice a couple of Michigan State guys went into the portal. I noticed one from Buffalo. So when you start seeing those, you wonder because
the connections. Lots of times the connections are where you start, but doesn't mean.
Coach Lindquist at Alabama, Coach Kapilovic, like you just mentioned. I mean, when you have connections from that staff that are now in Tuscaloosa, you start wondering, okay, could they be interested in this kid? And so, as far as I know, so far, no, but, I mean, that can change. I mean, all of a sudden a visit can be scheduled and you can come in, and so we will see. But as of now, I haven't seen, anything. We were already talking about Khalil Jacobs from, South Alabama. I know he's coming in this weekend from a standpoint of football, and he's the only one that I know of right now. But, again, things can change and things can develop, so – but it does look like we said, Tony Mitchell's gone, Peyton Woodyard's gone. So those are the latest two. And I mean, and when this was speculated upon, when people thought it might be a boat race, that there was thought that there might be more guys leaving Tuscaloosa, but so far there hasn't been a ton. And as you said, Scott, I don't think it's anybody that's was going to play a huge role on the team this year.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. Yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, Reese Davis joined the program. And Reese Davis was asked about how things are going at Alabama because he has visited with Kalen DeBoer several times. And he had a lot of stuff was about Nick Saban and the NFL draft and how well Nick Saban was prepared and everything else. But here is what Reese had to say about the current state of football at Alabama.
Last part of that, yes, expectations are the same. They're never going to change there. And even though they weren't successful in achieving those, they They didn't change when Mike Shula was there. They didn't change when Dennis Franchione was there, and they didn't change for the 42 seconds that Mike Price was there. That is the expectation. So that's not going to change. From what I've heard, it's gone along very well. Obviously, Kalen's a much different dude. As for the Senior Bowl picture, I believe there was another picture immediately afterwards where they're all hugged up or right before, some such thing.
Yes.
And it's all good. In fact, I got a text from Kalen the night of the draft, and he was thrilled for all of his Washington players because he said as good a players as they are, they're all, just all were exemplary guys to have on the team. And so he was very happy for them. And I think, the Alabama players have responded well. He and Jalen Milroe have hit it off. In fact, I was when we were down there for basketball for College Game Day, I sat at the game with Jalen Milroe and Kalen DeBoer, and I mean they seem to be getting along swimmingly. And I think, look, it's going to be a transition. He's following the greatest coach who ever lived in terms of college football. It is not going to be without bumps in the road. But he's a really good coach, and I think he's been really well accepted by the guys who've stayed. And a lot of the guys who've stayed have sort of used that as a bit of a rallying cry to say, hey, other guys wanted to leave, we're staying, and we're going to see this transition through.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the same things, and it's just Reese's echoing it with his platform. I think it's gone as smoothly as you would hope, at least from the standpoint of from one regiment to the other, and then they had a good spring practice. Now, they haven't played any real games, haven't had any adversity yet. First 3 and out, people are going to be wanting to fire people and, panicking. And, look, the last few years with Nick Saban, it was quarter to quarter on the employment of offensive coordinators. If you weren't completing passes and weren't moving the football, weren't running it enough or whatever, that's just the scrutiny you go through. But yeah. I mean, and of course and there has been angst with the defense a little bit because of the way the A-Day game started. Now, they don't actually bring up the way it finished, but again, and a lot of guys didn't play. Now, if they come out and struggle a little bit defensively, people are going to be complaining. But I think the biggest, and this is the biggest thing, and Reese kind of that's along the lines that I thought he was speaking on, is Kalen DeBoer understands all that, and I think there's people that I even was hearing in the last week or so, we had a speaking engagement out at Greenbrier, and there's people, well, I'm still a little apprehensive and worried because he's never coached at a real game in Alabama. He hasn't been through the meat grinder. And you understand that because Alabama's a different place to coach, but I do think he understands the magnitude of it all because again, he had a $9 million a year extension long term to stay at Washington where he was a king and he didn't have to leave. So he understands, and I think that one thing is, and it's the biggest thing, is he's very comfortable in his own skin. And he's like, look, I understand, but it's the biggest platform you can be given. I mean, he had 10 guys that got drafted, and he had some great players at Washington. Right. But Washington is not Alabama, and they have a really good program. I'm not belittling them, but I'm just saying Alabama's the greatest program historically that there is. That's why, fan bases from around the country take shots at Alabama because they want to be Alabama, and they ain't Alabama, okay? And that's a bottom line. Any Tennessee fan, I see these Tennessee fans running their mouths on X all the time and, talking about and taking shots at Alabama. Want to know why you're taking a shot at Alabama? Because you won in 16 against Alabama. You want to be Alabama. And this ain't 1998 anymore, and you've been getting your ass whooped every year. And you're fixing to get your ass whooped again. So bring it.
Oh, fall can't get here fast enough.
Can't stand those maggots. And yeah, I can say that on this show.
Yes, you can. Yes.
I got a lot of friends in the Tennessee media that I respect, and they do a good job.
Yes.
As far as the pissant program with the Tennessee Vols.
But they're the media, though. They're different.
Yeah, they're different. They have a job to do, and they're class people, and they do it. But if the Tennessee fans all fell into an abyss, I wouldn't give a crap. Most of them, anyway.
Oh, we got to get a break in. There's a new article in The Athletic about Colorado football. This is good. This is real.
Oh,
good.
I've seen some of the quotes from some of these kids that have been leaving the program. And then you got guys like Shedeur Sanders just taking public shots at guys that have left.
Yeah, this is good.
I mean,
this is really good.
pretty good from a 4-8 quarterback. That's all I'll say. If you want to start taking shots at people, dude, you went 4-8. I mean, you won in the SWAC, but the SWAC ain't the Power 5.
Oh, we got to get a break in. We'll talk more when we return.
.97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandyman. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
Oh, Ronnie Stapler joining us. No, Coach, you are not going to get the moron of the year plaque.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball on 97.7 The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Valley Equipment Rental has grown by leaps and bounds over the past year and is adding more and more equipment to their already impressive fleet. Valley is a locally owned family equipment rental business serving the entire Tennessee Valley. They concentrate on the local contractors, building repeat business and specializing in long-term rentals for their local contractors. The benefit of long-term rental is that they stay on top of their assets. If something you own goes down in the field, you have to stop and fix it before you can finish the job. With Valley Equipment Rental, they will fix it on site or bring you another machine while that one's being fixed. More importantly, Valley is locally owned and operated, which means when you have an issue, you can get someone on it right away, right here in the Valley. Heck, ask for Ross Roberts, the owner, if you like. Try calling one of the big box national outlets and asking for the owner. That's if you can even get through the automation. Buy local. Buy Valley Equipment Rental. Valley Equipment Rental has 2 locations, one on the North and South Parkway. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com. Alumni Hall is the ultimate shopping destination for Auburn and Alabama fans. Get your baseball gear, graduation gifts, or cheer on your team with the newest apparel, hats, and accessories for the entire family. Shop the newest collection of top brands like Nike, Adidas, Champion, Columbia, Yeti, New Era, plus 2 for $38 shirts. Sign up for the Alumni Hall Hall Pass rewards and earn $10 for every 150 points accumulated. Come see us at Alumni Hall near Belk in the Bridge Street Town Center. Alumni Hall, where the best fans shop.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back into the show. Okay, so I've teased this Colorado article before the break. And there's 2 things to it. And here is what my thought process is with all of this. I was reading it. And the way that college football, college basketball, and college athletics are right now, with the name, image, and likeness and everything else going on, and the way that it's the players want control, and we'll talk about the revenue sharing and all that stuff that's coming along. in college athletics that's going to be coming on very, very, very soon because of everything that's happening in Washington right now. I was reading this article, and it's like, okay, wait a minute. This is, yes, I know Deion Sanders did what he did, but this is almost like a preview of what is coming to college athletics in a larger scale. And they interviewed a couple players, and basically we all know that Deion got rid of 52 guys there in Colorado. And what it was is, I mean, these guys were cut out. They were not allowed back into the practice facility. They were locked out of the building. They could not come back in and get their stuff. It is like NFL being cut. I mean, these guys were like cut from the NFL. And that is where we're headed in college athletics right now anyway.
Oh,
that's where we're headed.
Yeah, when you go into the portal, you're out.
Yeah, I mean,
when you put your paperwork in, man, you're not.
And some of these guys weren't even in the portal yet.
Yeah.
They just were going to be cut by Colorado because they were bringing in better players. Yeah. And that's going to happen in college athletics now because of everything that we're at. It's going to be treated like a pro sport. But to your point about being a 4-8 team and not getting anything, there was a couple guys that were quoted in the article that said when they walked out to spring practice for the first time, it felt like they were on a reality TV show. That there were so many cameras around because there was one crew following Deion Sanders the whole time for his special. There was another one following the Sanders brothers around for their YouTube show. There were so many cameras and so many people around that it felt like there was that it was like a reality show, and that it was the Sanders and the rest of the football team, and that there was no, like, to your point that you've said many times, it wasn't like a football team. It was just like a reality show for Sanders to do what he wanted to do.
Look, man, if you're truly grinding, man, and you're trying to get better, you don't have a TV camera everywhere. And look, I understand that Colorado needed publicity and they were trying to turn things around, but I just think, look, here's the deal. If you're really just about the work and about grinding and getting better, then you don't need TV cameras everywhere.
Right.
I mean, Deion's even said, I don't go on any visits to high schools and things of that nature because it's going to cause a commotion, and people wanting autographs and all this kind of crap. Well, then why you got a TV camera following you around, man? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess to continue to put yourself in the public eye, but everybody knows who Deion Sanders is, Coach Prime. Everybody. He's one of the most high-profile people, not just in football, but
right.
I mean, just even in the world. I mean, even people that aren't football fans know who Coach Prime, Deion Sanders is, things of that nature. So, to me, there needs to be more substance to it. I'm not sure that there is. I mean, and then they tried to build a team through the portal last year, and they were better because, hell, I mean, they started from the bottom. I mean, it was 1-11.
Right.
So, and they went 4-8. But let's not forget how they finished. They finished 1-7, or whatever the heck it was. I mean, they were not very good in the Pac-12. Now they're going to the Big 12. I don't know how good this football team's going to be. I mean, I know that there were some, people were thinking last year they could go 500, and if they'd had a bounce or two, they probably could have, and they could have got to a bowl game. But there was many that also that know football that knew they were going to struggle and that they would be better than a year ago under Carl Durrell, but it still wouldn't be, much better. And I still don't know how good this team's going to be, coming into this year. They're changing conferences. And again, I don't know how much substance there is to this whole deal.
Right. Should we get used to seeing stories like this, though, of college athletes now saying, hey, wait, I was just cut. I was told I wasn't good enough to play, and that I walked in one day and all of a sudden I'm being told I'm not. I mean, are we at a point in college football right now because of name, image, and likeness, because of everything? Should we get more used to hearing about this in college, in the world of college sports?
You shouldn't be surprised, especially at programs that aren't very good, okay? So to me, though, if you're running your program the right way and you have built relationships with your players, then you don't see things like this.
Do the Alabamas, Georgias, Texases?
That's the way I would say.
Do they handle business like this right now?
I know they're not. They don't have reality TV shows and TV cameras, following around a certain family everywhere. I mean, they're grinding and trying to get better. And so, to me, I mean, and look, hey, it's capitalism. Shador and Shiloh, they're making money, and I've seen the commercials they do. Hey, more power to you, man. You're getting paid by corporations to do, commercials. Great. I mean, I have nothing against that. But these reality TV shows, get a life, man. Come on, all this Instagram Live, who cares? Focus on the game. Worry about football and getting better instead of trying to get your name out there and get your face anywhere and everywhere, man. I mean, just go out and work.
Right.
I mean, and to me, if you go out and work and you win games, you're going to get. I mean, with your last name and your lineage, you're going to get plenty of credit, man. You're not going to have to run looking for it. I mean, to me, it just reeks of, okay, I've got to keep myself relevant. I'm going to do something different. Let's do a reality TV show. I mean, that to me, it just breeds resentment among your teammates. Like, you're being treated different. I mean, it's kind of like what Coach Saban, one of the reasons he retired. You don't want a caste system, and you don't want to really make it even worse from the standpoint of, okay, that would have been like if, and Nick Saban would have never tolerated that. If, Bryce Young had a reality series, hey, Coach, I got this crew following me around, for every practice. Like, what? No. I mean, we're trying to prepare and win as a team, team. And so that's what it's got to be. I mean, if you're a bunch of individuals and then you call your teammates out publicly, I mean, that you're just airing your dirty laundry, man. It's just not good. And to me, when stuff like that starts to leak out about Colorado, you have to question the culture that's being built there. I mean, I'm sorry, you do. I'm anxious. I'm as interested as anybody to see what they look like in year 2. Do they look better? Because they sure as hell couldn't block and tackle worth 10 cents last year against anybody with a pulse.
That is true.
I mean, they didn't beat anybody good. So are they going to be much better this year? And if they are, they won't have to go looking for publicity and keeping receipts and looking for people. They'll be coming to them with their platform and who they are. I mean, people will be drawn to Colorado if they're good. Now, it's almost like they know they're going to suck, so okay, let's get these TV shows going on, and even when we're getting our ass blasted, people are going to be talking about us. You know what I'm saying? We'll be the most talked about 5-7 football team in America.
That they are. Jeremy is with us this morning. Good morning, Jeremy.
What's going on, guys? I hate to change the subject.
No, you're good. You're good.
I know, but I wanted to ask y'all what y'all think about what's Major League Baseball going to do about television? Because I noticed that Bally Sports went black last night, and a lot of folks on Xfinity, and that knocks out pretty much like they're not on Dish. Bally's not on Dish. Now they're not on Xfinity. They're not on YouTube TV.
Oh, wow.
And so the only thing they're on is DirecTV.
Really?
And Fubo.
Wow.
And that's it. That's the only 2 places you can get get Bally Sports. So does Major League Baseball need to step in and do something about this to get their product on television? Because, man, is it the individual teams need to step up and do something?
I had no clue that the Braves were not on Xfinity and on Bally now. But Scott and I have actually talked about this in the past. Bally is having all kind of financial difficulties and things of that nature. So to be honest with you, that doesn't surprise me that it's gotten to this point.
And it's unavailable on Xfinity because of failed negotiations between the two companies.
I was going to say it's the company. It's the cable company because I have watched some of the Braves earlier. They have been on, but it's probably
Comcast customers they were greeted with a message because of Bally's bankruptcy proceedings.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what's happening there.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do. I know carriage negotiations fell, and that's why it went dark last night.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about it is, if it hadn't been for the Predators being on TBS, also there were a lot of folks that were watching that game on Xfinity, watching it on Bally Sports.
Right.
And it was in the middle of the game when it went black, and it was like everybody was freaking out. And then one guy saw posted, he said, "Then I felt like an idiot when I realized that the game was on TBS."
So last night, Diamond Sports did issue a statement in regards.
Right.
So apparently, Diamond Sports, which is handling Bally's, and Comcast, they really are not seeing eye to eye right now. Comcast rejected a proposed extension that would have kept our channels on the air, and that Comcast indicated that it intends to pull the signals, preventing fans from watching their favorite local teams. They're blaming Comcast. They said they've refused to engage in substantive discussions despite Diamond offering terms similar to those reached with much larger distributors. So right now, basically, Diamond Sports and Comcast.
It's a pissing contest.
Exactly what I was going to say. Yes, that's where they're at right now. Yep.
It's just
Well,
that's what
well,
it is.
And if you look, and them throwing blame on Comcast, that's all great and wonderful, but you really can't, because they're not the only ones that don't have you on their programming.
Right.
So,
Comcast has turned around and said that Diamond has declined multiple offers. So
well,
there you go.
Major League Baseball has stepped in with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and I believe the Cleveland Guardians, Indians, and there's maybe 3 or 4 other sports teams that Bally was not paying them. Diamond Sports was not paying them the royalties and things. So MLB had to step in and took over the rights to show the game.
Yeah, now Diamond did agree with Cox Communications earlier yesterday afternoon that kept them on the Cox channels and stuff. So last night was the reason why you couldn't get it is because the Comcast and them they couldn't get the agreement worked out. So yeah.
So is Bally not just I thought Bally was kind of like Weight Watchers. I mean, was that not what they were in the past? Didn't they have like gyms and stuff, or curves? They had workout.
I think it was Bally's gym. I think it was. I think there was Bally's gyms. Now I don't know if the two are related.
I mean, because if so, then why in the world are they trying to show Major League Baseball games? That's stupid.
Bally's been running about as well as the CBS channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish that Fox would go back again and do it. I wish we had baseball like we had football on Sundays, where every game is shown, but it may not be in your region, but every game is shown on a channel on Sundays. I wish Major League Baseball could work out something with Fox or with ESPN or somebody that they could. It's like, hey, this, we got MLB Network, but even MLB Network's been dropped by different
subscribers,
Comcast and YouTube TV. And so, but it just something needs to work out, because if they want to look and try to figure out a reason why they're declining in popularity, this right here may be number one, with the commissioner being a really tight number 2.
Oh Lord! I mean, he's Manfred's a moron of the year candidate every year.
He wakes up every morning and becomes a moron of the year candidate just by getting out of bed.
Exactly.
Well, and this right here just the lack of baseball on television is one, it shows it every day. I mean, when you get up and you sit there and you see how many baseball games are played in a day during the week, every day, and you only see Sunday night baseball, Tuesday night on TBS, and maybe every once in a while a game on ESPN on a Monday night or a Wednesday night. So, like, that to me is just it's just unfathomable how you can run an organization and consider yourself successful and just be a stupid as he is.
All right, thanks for the phone call, but we're up against a break here.
Yeah, I mean, no question, and I knew Bally wasn't doing well, but I didn't realize it had reached these limits. But
yeah, so Bally's
is
the name. So Bally's paid for the name.
Yeah.
Diamond is the one that runs the network. Bally's is
Yeah.
just a name that was paid.
Like a sponsor.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll have more Talkin' Ball.
.97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandyman. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show. Followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH Sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. And we all know that college football is headed to a 12-team playoff. And last week, the College Football Playoff Committee, they convened in Las Colinas, Texas. I believe it was. It's either California. What the hell? I can't remember. I know it's Las Colinas. That's where they all convened. And the reason why they did is because the College Football Playoff Committee ran scenarios for the 12-team playoff. They wanted to figure out how it would all play out, a 12-team playoff. They wanted to run all the scenarios and play it out like they were getting ready to do a 12-team playoff using the teams from this past year and everything else and how it would play out and how it would go. And then they let some reporters into the room. They sat in the seats. They did it all. They do this every year. It's a dry run. And this is how it would all came out. And that Alabama would have hosted number 10, Southern Cal. Number 8, Tennessee would host number 9, Kansas State. 12th seed Tulane would have been at 5 seed TCU. And 11th seed Penn State would have been at number 6, Ohio State. Okay? Well, so in college basketball, when it comes to the NCAA tournament, there is a rule that you cannot have a first-round matchup that depicts a rematch of something during the regular season. They don't have that in college football. And they realized that you could have a first-round college football matchup be a rematch of a team that you've either faced a week ago, 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, a la Penn State, Ohio State.
Yeah.
Is that okay to have in the college football playoffs?
Of course. Who cares? That's eventually going to have to happen because guess what? There's too many football programs that suck anyway. They're not going to be able to get there. I mean, I know they're doing the Democrat thing and they're expanding the playoff, trying to give more people a chance. But they're going to get bludgeoned, and there's not enough there's not enough parity in the game yet. Okay, there's a big difference between the Power 5 and the Group of 5. Why do you think they're already complaining? They haven't even had the 12-team playoff yet officially, and people are already complaining about it and talking about breaking away and having a Group of 5 playoff, which I think would be a lot better for these Group of 5 schools that are going to lose 65-3,
right,
every year in the playoffs. So again, man, or they might pull one upset. Upsets can happen. But in football, look, man, there ain't going to be no George Mason going to the Final Four or playing for a football national championship. You might pull off one upset, and then you're going to get beat by 40 the next round, okay? It's just the way it's going to be. Now, I mean, would they like to avoid, rematches? Yes. I would think so.
Because they went back and they ran this all the way back to like 2010. They played this out down there.
And we've already had rematches with Alabama and Georgia for crying out loud a couple times.
In 2014, we would have had Ole Miss and Mississippi State play each other in the playoffs. And that would have happened 3 weeks prior to the Egg Bowl. We would have had the Egg Bowl, then 3 weeks later, Ole Miss and Mississippi State would have played again.
That would have been great. That would have been great theater. Like, okay, you beat us once, but here we come again. Anxiety.
In 2018, Georgia and Florida would have been paired in the first round of the playoffs.
I mean, think about this. If Georgia doesn't upset Auburn, and it wasn't really an upset by them because Auburn was banged up. But in 2017 in the SEC championship game, because Auburn had beaten Georgia in the regular season, but if Auburn had beaten Georgia and they would have gotten to the playoff.
Right.
I mean, Alabama and Auburn, they're very likely play again in the college football playoff. I mean, it's eventually going to happen. Now, you would like to avoid it in the first round, but there's probably going to be a year when you let this many teams into the playoff where it's unavoidable because there's just not enough good teams. Because I still say there's a gulf in a big one between the Power 5 and the Group of 5, and eventually, and because of the conference expansion, hey, sorry guys, everybody's moving around. The Pac-12 doesn't even exist anymore. You've got the Big Ten and the SEC controlling things. they're gonna control the playoff because they're gonna have the most teams in. So eventually, you're gonna have matchups like that.
Another problem they say coming out of all the tests that they ran during with this 5-7 model is the fact that you could have a team that now the College Football Playoff Committee still handles the rankings, and they will still handle the rankings for the 12-team playoff. That you could have a team ranked number 4 or 3 or 2. They don't win their conference championship game. A team that's below them wins their conference championship game. And because they are a conference champion, they will get a first-round bye where a team that is ranked higher than them will have to play in the first round.
They should have to play in the first round. If you're a conference champion, you should get a bye. That should be part of being a conference champion.
So they say if you go back to 2022, fourth-ranked Ohio State was a non-champion. They would have been seeded number 6, while Big 12 champion Utah was ranked number 8. They would have gotten the 4th seed, and they would have gotten a bye.
Good. They're a conference champion. Too bad. Boo-hoo-hoo. Win your conference championship. And if you're in a tougher conference, too bad. Win your conference. And don't cry. And especially if you're Ohio State and you're paying $1 million to the running back, $2 million. Shut up! Win a game! Don't start complaining.
Right.
You're out spending everybody anyway. So go out there and win games and stop choking.
In 2022, Tulane, as far as Group of 5, they would have gotten into the playoffs they were ranked number 6 team. They would have gotten into the playoffs. They would have pushed out 12th ranked Washington. So in 2022, Washington would not have, if this was him. And in 2019, Memphis would have gotten in. And this would have made you happy if the playoffs were in 2019. They would have gotten in over Notre Dame, Penn State, and Utah.
Well, and again, do I think the Group of 5 in many cases deserves a shot? No. I think they ought to have their own division. But that's just me because they're not better than any of those teams. But that's what happens when you let idiots run the country and then you base some of that same bull crap with your college football playoff because you're boo-hoo-hooing and everybody wants a piece of the pie even though they're not good enough. I mean, and that's the truth. There ought to be like a different division now. If you're going to go ahead and expand this playoff in Power 5 the way you're doing it, then they need to break away. And then the Group of 5, where Tulane and some of these teams, and I love John Summerall, but they need to have a legit shot at winning their own championship.
Because they'll never be a national champion.
No, Tulane is not going to win a national championship. I know John Summerall told his supporters that. And as much as I love John, and I think he's a hell of a coach, but see, I think also, within 2 or 3 years, John's not going to be at Tulane. He'll probably be in a Power 5 school.
Where he could win a national championship.
Win one.
Right.
But I just think they need to break it away and give all these, schools a chance. Maybe it'll be FCS on steroids, but they need to give these schools chances to win a championship on their level.
Because schools like Memphis, Tulane, UAB, Middle Tennessee, they'll never win a national championship in college football.
Never.
I know it's harsh to say, but they will never win a national championship.
No, sorry, Jeff, never.
Let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll get to your phone calls. 256-576-4977.
.97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then,
The Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandyman. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show. Followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH Sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
Instagram and check out Southern Gent Landscaping. They can help make your yard your dream outdoor oasis. Southern Gent Landscaping can handle it all, from landscape maintenance and installation to irrigation and hardscapes, even AstroTurf. Turn your yard into a landscape you'll be proud to show off. Call Southern Gent Landscaping at 256-509-6088. 509-6088. Southern Gent Landscaping. Professional landscaping performed with satisfaction guaranteed.
Owen Home Appliance Center features the biggest names in home appliances like Viking, Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, GE, and Frigidaire. But they also have great brands that you may not know, like Mela, Forno, Z-Line, Invisicook, and Beko. But no matter what, they all get delivered the day you buy, and they service everything they sell. And at the Lacey Springs showroom, just 8 miles south of the river on 231, you'll find a totally interactive showroom where you can hear the dishwashers wash, and the freezer's free, and see the cookies get baked in the double ovens. Owen Home Appliance Center will even wash and dry a load of clothes for you so that you can see how great the products are. And they have ice machines making all kinds of ice, cubed, nugget, and top hat. How is that for variety? Owen Home Appliance Center believes in community involvement as well, sponsoring youth teams, race cars, and an annual Easter egg hunt. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service is the name of the game for Owen Home Appliance Center. Find them in Somerville and Lacey Springs and online at owenappliance.com.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I did not get back soon enough. Usually I try to get back before the guy screams at us.
Yeah.
Welcome back. 256-576.
I hope nobody's about to scream at us on the phone. We'll see.
256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. Hey, you know what? I was contemplating. I was really worried about us having to do the show outside this morning.
Oh, I wondered. I drove up and I didn't see a table, so I thought, hey.
I walked up here and I was like, okay, it's comfortable in here. We can actually do the show in studio because with the air's out again.
Oh, yeah. We got the message from Chad.
Yeah, so
they were baking like taters in there.
I was like, okay, are we going to have to do the show outside? We're not. We're able to do it in studio today, so that's good. Let's go out to the phone lines. Wolverine Dan is with us this morning. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Dan.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. Hopefully you won't bake too much.
No, it's comfortable.
We're good this morning.
Yeah,
we're comfortable.
We're good.
Give it a couple hours.
Well, I ain't going to have to be here in a couple hours, so everybody else can sweat.
See ya.
Gone.
That's right. It's not your problem anymore, is it?
Nope. At 9 o'clock, it ceases to be my problem.
And we sure as hell haven't been using talent heating and air to fix it.
No, if we would have, it would have been done.
Yeah.
I understand. Well, landlords do what they do. Just try to save a buck. But listen, I'm surprised that, defending national champions, that I'm not in the scenario. Isn't Michigan in the scenario?
Oh, they will be. I mean, they're a blue blood in football.
He read off a list. I mean, wasn't I on the list?
No. This was in years past.
Yeah, these were examples from the year past that when they did when they ran all of these things, this was what the committee came up with and said, okay, this is a problem that would have been, Michigan would have had a first-round bye this past year. They won the Big Ten, so they would have not played in the first round, so there would not have been a matchup for them to have to worry about a playing a team again and during the regular season and in the playoffs in the first round.
Yep.
Well, these previous years, we've won 3 Big Ten in a row. Actually, that's a pretty good deal there. It's the SEC, of course, I still think it's the best conference, but any team that could win their conference, 3 years in a row, that's not a bad deal.
Oh, no. I mean, Michigan, now the transition is going to be fascinating because Harbaugh left, but if Michigan is right, if they get everything aligned, they're not going to have anything to worry about. They're not going to be in this boat that we're talking about. That was just what you were listening to. Scott was just mostly going over scenarios of what would have happened in the past,
right?
And we were it was mainly a group of 5 discussion. Should they have a place at the table? I don't think they should.
This past year, Liberty would have been the team to get into the playoffs.
I think they
would
should have
gotten
their own divisions. What I'm saying. I think they should have a legitimate chance to win a national championship because Liberty is never going to win a national title when you're competing against Power 5 schools. Never, ever.
This show, and shows like your show all over the country is a reason why we listen, because it puts us in a place that's comforting, because we all love to talk about sports, especially football, and about our teams and root for this and that. And, these campuses these days, take, for instance, last night, I couldn't sleep, so I put on the TV, and sure enough, UCLA campus, bunch of crazies going nuts.
Oh, Lord.
I tell you, fellas, thank God for sports, because, we can divert some of this crap that's in the airways with a program like yourself or in other programs, and I'm eternally grateful for that. And because I call all the time, that's just because I love to talk sports, and I love to listen to your show and other shows like your show. So, guys, we're really fortunate. So let's just keep this thing rolling, because there's a bunch of whack jobs out there, and I don't really want to deal with it.
Yes, there is. Thanks for the phone call there. Thanks, Wolverine. Yeah, it's interesting. You look over some of these teams that would have gotten in. In 2015, Navy would have gotten into the playoffs. Liberty would have gotten in this past year. If you're Liberty or you're Navy and you make the playoffs in the future, and you go and like Oregon beat Liberty 45-6 in the Fiesta Bowl this past year.
Say that again.
45-6. If you're Liberty and you make the first round of the playoffs in college football, college basketball, you stand a chance because you can X and O and you can try to do something and you can we've seen it. 16 do beat a 1.
13, not 85.
But if you are Liberty, would you rather go get beat 45-6 and lose in the first round of the playoffs against a Power 5 team, or play in a 12-team playoff and have a shot to win a national championship? Which one would you rather do?
National championship if you have a functioning brain. I mean, you'd rather win a championship. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is.
You wouldn't feel second rate?
Hell no. I mean, UNA and Jacksonville State have won national championships. Do they feel second rate?
No, I mean, it's a question that these kids...
You win your division. It's like that. There's divisions. There's 1 through 7A in high school basketball and then into high school athletics. Does any of these schools feel bad if they win a state title and they didn't win the highest classification? No. You won your last game. You didn't lose 45-6.
Hey.
And get shellacked.
Just had to ask.
This 97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
Favored by 4.5 at home. Get the latest lines and more at vsin.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone, courtesy of our very, very, very good friends over at SportsMed Orthopedic Spine Center.
I think Coach
Surgery and
Schumann would like to
Spine
have that guy calling.
Yeah. Our
was
next
pretty
interview
good.
is possible because SportsMed is the official training provider for the UAH Chargers. And the UAH Chargers softball squad kicking off the Gulf South Conference tournament
Trying
today.
to defend their title. But
yes, trying to win it. They need
each
the
individual
wins.
tournament's different.
Yes. The question is, and I saw the picture, did Coach Studeman pack enough Diet Coke to get through the week?
Coach,
That's
good morning.
the question.
That's Scott's question.
I saw the picture, and it looked like it wasn't enough.
Girls just died laughing. So it really, whether we make it through the week with that, it just depends on them because the more nervous I get, the more caffeine I have to drink. And so I guess it's not as good as not wild turkey or something like that. I mean.
Wow. I thought that was the only one
that is
that on
true.
this show.
That is true. If the less wild turkey, that means that's less stressful moments in the dugout.
Yeah. It's Diet Pepsi. It's not wild turkey. Thank goodness. So far, I've still got a few more years to go, so we'll see.
Well, Coach, the young ladies took 2 out of 3 on senior weekend against Union. You've come into this tournament. Is it just focusing on what you can control one game at a time, or do you have a feel of what you need to do to get to the NCAA tournament? Is it? I know you're the defending tournament champion. Do you feel like you need to win this tournament? Of course, you want to, but what needs to be done?
Well, we weren't even in the regional rankings. We have 37 wins, and we're not even ranked in the region. I'm not. That's not a whining thing. I don't think it's unfair. But man, that's kind of hard to swallow.
Yeah.
So we're looking at it like we've got to win the tournament to get into it. That's how we've sort of said that since after Valdosta. I mean, we lost those 3 series right out of the gate, Valdosta, Mississippi College, and West Florida. So, we knew our back was going to be against the wall for the rest of the season. And our goal was to play really great at home and not lose another series. And we didn't do that. We did lose 2 midweek to AUM, but I mean, we've done what we needed to do to at least get in a position to make a run. I mean, that's all we could do, and we did it.
Well, you mentioned Valdosta. That series came awfully early. You, as a team, were trying to figure each other out, trying to figure out the pieces. Now you get Valdosta State in the first round of the Gulf South Conference tournament. You said all along that, hey, if you could get a Valdosta, West Florida, you could get an AUM, a Mississippi College in the tournament, it would help. Now you get a shot at seeing Valdosta State again.
Yeah, the one great thing about going 1-2 at Valdosta and West Florida Mississippi College is that we do have the opportunity to even up on them, which is a game changer when they start looking at, behind the numbers, the head-to-head, the minuscule things they look at when everything is the same. And, Valdosta, the thing about Valdosta that is, I don't know, I don't want to call it bad for us, but a bad matchup for us is that they score in bunches. And we are a kind of team that gives up runs in bunches. So we have to, we're going to have to play a great game today to win this game. I mean, we're just going to have to pitch our best, and we can't leave runners out there. And we have great pitching, but we have not always pitched great, and we've left a lot of runners out there in the losses that we have. So, as long as, Coach Acuff used to say, run to the fight, and these girls have run to every fight, man. And I do not question that one bit. If we can just keep doing that and stay together, keep swinging, I'm just really, really hoping that we can play our best softball this weekend.
Well, and I know Valdosta's got some talent, no doubt about it. It's a 4-5 matchup, and they've got two young ladies that have put up tremendous power numbers in their lineup, Coach.
I mean, they've got the best power hitter in Division II. I mean, they do. And then the other kid, Gano, has always just been a thorn in our side. She has. I mean, she is just. I have a couple years ago, we were down at regionals, and they hosted, and Leighton Murphy was on the mound, and she was really struggling. We were in the game, and there were runners at second and third, and Gano came up, and I was like, should we walk her? But the problem with Leighton is if you walked her, the next one she could hit by a pitch, the next one, and the next one could hit too. So we pitched to her, she hit a bomb. So I'm just beating myself up the whole way home, but I'm watching the game, Valdosta's game with West Florida. West Florida's in the same situation. They walked Gano to load the bases, and the next kid hit a grand slam. So that's my Gano story. Gano and Salt are great, and then they have another kid that leads off. That they're just three. If you can get them out without getting them track meeting, then you can have a chance. And they are offensively unbelievable, and he's just an unbelievable coach too.
UAH head softball coach Les Studeman, kind enough to wake up with us on a Wednesday morning ahead of the Chargers showdown in the Gulf South Conference. And thank you for waking up with us, by the way.
This is on the road. I get to sleep in because, usually right now I'm like tying shoes and wiping noses and handing out snacks, getting ready to go to the Early Learning Center at UAH. So I did wake up early for y'all, and I'm glad to do it.
Coach, this is your 28th appearance in the Gulf South Conference tournament.
Correct.
28th appearance.
28. That's right. Isn't that something?
It's amazing.
It is.
Yeah, it's when you're walking in it, and you don't think about that, but when people say that number, I'm like, God, that's a lot of GSC tournaments. I mean, it is. It just is what it is. I can't. I try to humbly say that it is a lot. I know it's a lot, but it doesn't feel like that to me. It feels like the first one. So, this is a great softball league, and I have seen some fantastic softball and some barn burners, and I told the girls yesterday, it's one of the best atmospheres in Division II in any sport.
Well, it really is, Coach. And the amazing thing is the growth of the sport. I mean, when you take it into context, you just said it's your 28th GSC tournament. We were talking about that. It's amazing. But it's amazing how quickly the time passes, and from the mid-'90s to now, the way softball has exploded.
Hey, I got a great story about that. The first year that the high schools went to the regional format,
yes,
the regionals were held at the Sportsplex, and Scott will remember this, and Scott has covered all those, and so he can confirm this. But I'm a lifelong Alabamian, and I've fought for fast pitch my whole life, that was, I couldn't wait to see what that was going to be like, and so I pull up to the Sportsplex, and it's ARAB playing Albertville, and the fact that there was no fights in the parking lot and in the stands is just
Marshall
a miracle.
County, yeah, that's right.
So I get up to the field. They're playing back there in the back, and Albertville has a drum line on the top, on that rail up there that hangs over the field. And I thought, and it was packed. You couldn't find a parking place, every single place, and ARAB was just as loud. And it was incredible. And I thought to myself, I don't know what year that was, but it was mid-2000s probably.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, this is finally here. And now, you've got kids going to the SEC. You've got I mean, there's enough softball in North Alabama to support UNA, a couple of SEC schools. We got a couple of kids from North Alabama going to South Alabama, UAB. I mean, and then also our program and the other Division II programs and the junior colleges, and all of them are relevant and good nationally.
That's right.
Well, Coach, I mean, and you have done an exceptional job of finding that talent, that local talent, bringing it to UAH. One of those will be in the circle, I'd imagine, probably today, and that's Josie Thompson, Bridgeport, Alabama native, but Wallace State, Hansville, coming via there.
There you go. National championship
Talk
program
about
on junior
Josie's
college level.
rise this year.
Josie played at North Jackson. She's she can absolutely shut people down. And, if she, as great a pitcher as she is even just so much of a better human being. I mean, the thing about Josie is people would eat the dirt off the bottom of their shoe to win for her. And that's just how she makes all her teammates feel. But, yeah, she's interesting because she never really had – for us anyway, the first half of the season, she's average. But something happens in April, and she starts being above average, and then here we are at the end of April, and she's really good. And she's had some huge outings for us. I mean, I told her, and I believe this, that if she had not had the season that she's had, I'm not real sure we make this tournament. And anyway, she's a super special human being, and you cannot talk to her for 5 minutes and not immediately just love her.
And Coach, I know the game has evolved. I know you have two outstanding pitchers that have thrown a lot of innings for you this year. How do you handle that when you're going into this tournament? Is it ideally it's a matchup thing with how you and your staff kind of analyze things? Okay, this is how we did against like Valdosta. When do you make your decision on who starts in the circle? Do you base it on the how they face that particular squad during the season, or is it about how they've thrown the last couple of weeks, kind of like what you're saying with your squad right now?
Well, usually we just play paper, rock, scissors.
Well, that's good if they're both throwing well. Yeah. There you go.
Last year, the way we approached this tournament is Josie started and Bracken would finish game.
Okay.
Bracken, you guys have heard me talk about how special she is. And she's had the last couple of times she's thrown well, and that bodes well for us. So I think that's the best plan for us is for Josie to start and Bracken to come in behind her. And, but at the same time, we'll see how it goes. There are some matchups that Josie's just a good matchup for since she's a lefty.
Right.
And to be honest with you, there's some matchups that Grace O'Berry got the win against Valdosta down there because, she's got a good drop and a really couple of different off speeds. Now she gets herself in trouble sometimes with walks, but all three of our pitchers that have been pitching are an option for us. And if Josie weren't to get deep enough, Grace would probably fill some middle innings. And Josie can pitch good and still give up some runs against Valdosta because they're just that good. And we're going to have to score with them today if we want to come out on top.
So it sounds like to me a big key to this game is going to be the way your team starts offensively coming out of the first inning. Would that be accurate? They need to get off to a fast start.
I mean, we just need to score. If we have runners on, we need to knock them in, and that's we've got so many. I feel like we've got three hitters who are just right there, and just have not broken through yet. And if we can get them going, the top of our lineup is going to make things happen.
Right.
The middle, Jada and Kaylee Ball, cannot leave runners out there. I mean, there's just not any room for error on that. Kaylee Vault, Jada, and Maddie Cartron, I mean, really, I feel like we're going to be able to get on base with the top of our lineup, so the middle's got to knock them in.
And the bottom of the lineup has to produce.
Do something. I mean, walk, get the bunch around, move runners. We got some, the numbers aren't that great, but we've been really, really, really swinging the bat good with nothing to show for it down there in the bottom. So, I'm hoping that they're going to punch through.
Well, 3:30 today.
3:30. Coach, you got a little bit of time.
Yeah, you got some time to go get some more Diet Pepsi.
Time to do something. Yeah. Do you have a tournament ritual like this when you're there? Since you've been doing it now for a while, is there a routine that you do go by?
I pack a suitcase, and one half of my suitcase is for Wednesday and Thursday, and the other half of my suitcase is for Friday and Saturday, and I never change that ever. And that way, I don't ruin my karma by packing for a whole week, and I'm not a negative non-believer by only packing for 2 days.
There you go.
There we go.
Perfect system
But now,
there.
hey, I'll tell you this. One time I packed for 3 days going to the World Series because our team had played so bad to even get there. And we went all the way to the national championship game. So I was going to the laundromat in Salem, Virginia, washing underwear every other day. So that was dumb. So I learned my lesson. I was very young and dumb when I did that. So.
Well, we just hope UAH is playing for the national championship yet again, and hopefully this year.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, don't feel bad. I mean, Dan Hurley, if they win, he has to wear the same draws. So his wife she carries a portable washing machine to wash his draws.
Yeah, just get Coach Carter to carry a portable wash machine for you.
Yeah.
You can wash the stuff in the room.
She doesn't have anything else to do. She has no other responsibilities.
Coach, good luck to the ladies this week, and hope get a W today, and then move on. Hopefully, get Mississippi College and get a chance to beat the #1 seed. But get that W and go on another run and defend this title. But we appreciate you for getting up and taking some time to talk some UAH softball with us.
Thank you so much, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, Coach Les Studeman with us.
I always like getting her to tell stories, man.
Oh, she's got a few.
Yeah.
She's seen a few things. She's done a few things.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that when I heard that story, though, on this run to the repeat for Connecticut when she was having to wash the draws after every game.
Well, that was what they did. Yeah, she carried a
crazy.
Question is, though, where do you find a portable carrying wash machine?
I don't know. Obviously, Coach Hurley, he's getting paid a lot of money. They found one. I don't know. I didn't even know the damn things existed. I'm like, what?
No, that's what I'm more impressed with.
I mean, I know they have them at hotels because, people do the laundry all the time at hotels.
Right, you can send your clothes out and have it cleaned.
Or whatever, yeah.
Done that.
But, this thing's portable. I guess you just plug it in.
Let's get a break in. Portable washing machine. I'll look it up. I'll let you know what we have when we come back from break.
.97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back into the show. And I did indeed find one. You can buy one on Amazon.
Here we go.
A compact mini tub washing machine, 13-pound capacity for $89. It's great for apartments, dorms, camping, RVs, and small spaces.
Yeah.
So there you go, $89.
So you just plug it in, huh?
You just plug it in, and you have your own little washing machine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There you go. 256-576-4977. Not much you can go from that.
Yeah.
But in case you wanted to, and like Coach Studeman, in case she is in a bind,
yeah,
she could order it off of Amazon, have it delivered to the hotel there on Chakalaka, and if they're there and she, doesn't have enough, she could be good.
Well, they just need to get a dub, man. They need to get a dub over Valdosta and see where it goes and try to go on a run and win this thing and get into the NCAA tournament and make another run.
The Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, it was an F.
8 minutes ago, putting out a tweet saying a carriage dispute between Comcast and Diamond Sports is impacting several Major League Baseball teams, including the Braves.
Yep.
As a result, Comcast customers are currently unable to watch our games. Customers using other cable providers or streaming services are not. They go on to say fans can listen to the game, and they put their station, but don't forget 97.7 ESPN The Zone is your home for the Atlanta Braves.
You can listen.
Fans can listen to the game on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. They don't put that. We put that in there, but that's what it is.
Right.
Yeah. So, and Braves fans are chiming in saying, I miss the good old days of Braves on TBS. There's people that saying they live in Atlanta. They can't watch the games because of the current provider. So it's not just people living in Huntsville. There's people living in Atlanta that can't even watch the Braves right now. And I don't know if you would want to watch the Braves because they're stumbling, but I'll say this. They're facing really good pitching. The Seattle Mariners are not a bad ball club. They're facing good pitching, and they're just hitting a minor bump.
They are, and they've got Ronald Acuna hadn't got going, neither is Austin Riley or Matt Olson, so they got to get some guys rolling at the plate, and they got to get a little bit better. But yeah, they're facing good competition on the road, and hopefully soon this dispute will be resolved, so people won't have to join myself and Coach Studeman and bring up wild turkey. That's awesome. I'm not the only one bringing up wild turkey on this show.
Hey, look, there have been some wild turkey moments.
Oh, man.
Just in the short time we were with them this year, there was some wild turkey moments.
Well, I've been through the same myself. I had to watch Pete Golding for, from 2018 to 2022. So anytime you had to go through Pete.
One thing we didn't ask her was Hunter Royer's reaction to us telling him that the softball team had the little contest to see who could hit his car.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only thing that we did not get to ask her about.
We forgot to ask about that.
Anyway.
But congrats to Coach Royer for finishing strong.
No, they did. Not the season that they won.
Right. They wanted to get to the tournament and postseason, but hey, they finished strong. They kept They kept grinding.
But as for today, Major League Baseball-wise, the Atlanta Braves, I believe, are in action early. Yes, they are. 2:40 is the first pitch for the Atlanta Braves and the Seattle Mariners. Chris Sale on the mound for the Braves. 3-1 so far in his season for Atlanta. 3.69 ERA for Chris Sale. Braves are 19-9. Mariners are 17-13. The Philadelphia Phillies, right now it does just still to be the Phillies and Braves in that division. The Mets have climbed a game above 500.
Darn.
But the Braves are still a half a game on top of the Phillies. The Phillies are 7-3 in their last 10. Braves 6-4. So Philadelphia has picked up a game. And the ever so dismal Chicago White Sox, who we just love to look at because they're just so gosh awful, they are 6-24, and they have now scored 84 runs this season.
Wow.
They are up to 84 runs on the year.
Haven't even scored 100 runs.
No.
Ouch.
They are up to 84 runs.
They need to draft Charlie Condon.
They need to do something. They are 1-13 on the road this year, 5-11 at home.
Well,
they are 6-24. But the Miami Marlins, and I said this, they're eliminated, and I wasn't joking. They are just 7-24. The Marlins have only won 7 games this year.
Well, you wrote them off.
At least they have scored 111 runs, but they only have one more win than the Chicago White Sox, who are really bad. So the Marlins are just as bad. I said they've been eliminated from the East, and that was a week ago. So there you go. Let's get a break.
They always seem to know when we're going to go on break. So on the Liberal channel, they put your favorite restaurant.
Look,
Junction
that's the
64.
Junction 6. That's Mildred's Junction 64.
Yeah,
and it's a buffet.
It is.
And if it's as good as Mildred's in Ardmore, and those that have been to Mildred's in Ardmore know how good Mildred's is.
Yes,
it is good. It
No
is
doubt.
some good eating right there. That's some good Southern eating. It's good, and if that is any good as Mildred's, then it's going to be fine. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we're going to talk Kentucky basketball.
.97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, The Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
Reported as a no injury. We got 431 and 431 with some blockage northbound and a report of injury. You could lose up to 4 sizes in 4 weeks with a 2030 Fast Track Weight Loss Program. Find out more at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Whoa, is that the new MyTouch 4G slide?
Yes, I got it with T-Mobile's best plan ever.
Introducing T-Mobile's best plan ever. Unlimited talk, text, and data with 2 lines for just $49.99 a month each. It's only for a limited time and only from America's largest 4G network. Now faster than ever. To learn more, visit your local T-Mobile store.
2-year agreement required plus taxes and fees. After 2 gigabyte speeds reduced up to 2G speeds. Capable device required for 4G speeds. T-Mobile's HSPA plus 4G network not available everywhere. See store or T-Mobile.com for details.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
There we go. There it is. We're back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, welcome back in. 8:33 on a Wednesday morning. We've made it to the halfway point of the week. The college basketball transfer portal window closing. Coach Pope up there in Lexington doing a good job of having to fill a roster that was non-existent
from scratch
when he walked in as head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats.
Well, I mean, this is just the way the era we live in right now in college basketball. If you make a coaching change, you pretty much are having to start from scratch. But everybody has freedom of movement, and Kentucky is Kentucky. One of the 3 or 4 or 5 blue bloods of college basketball. Mark Pope has, in my opinion, we had our next guest on right after he was hired, and there was a ton of energy and a ton of enthusiasm. And now it's manifested itself into what I think is a very good coaching staff that he has fully in place. And then, much as we've been monitoring Alabama and Auburn in our state, Kentucky continues to add players. It seems like each and every day you've got to basically continue to check your social media because they've got visitors coming in, they got guys committing, and the roster is starting to take shape. And we are going to talk about that with the editor-in-chief of Kentucky Sports Radio, part of On3Sports.com, and that is our good friend Tyler Thompson, and she's with us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Tyler, you're with Drew and Scott. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. And you were talking about the transfer portal closing. It's not closed yet. We've got till midnight.
Yeah.
So
it's closing.
Yeah.
It's closing slowly.
Right.
I mean, this transfer portal window has been like a huge bay window. Now we're down to like just a little tiny window because it's getting smaller.
That's true, but you never know. Some new names may pop up, and everything could get shook up again.
Well, I mean, and you just, I was checking your feed just in the last hour. There's been, I think he was on campus in Kentucky, but there's been a high-profile transfer from Utah State that's now no longer under consideration for Kentucky, mainly due to the other pieces they've added, it looks like.
Yeah, so Great Osabor, who's from Utah State, he was honorable mention All-American last year.
Yeah.
Really great established player, but the timing kind of, didn't really work out.
Right.
Kentucky landed a commitment from Brandon Garrison, a rising sophomore from Oklahoma State yesterday, and they already had 2 other bigs kind of, already on the roster. So while they, I think, wanted Great Osabor, they had to take a chance on Brandon Garrison because he has 3 seasons of eligibility remaining, whereas Osabor just has 1. But that brings Kentucky's roster is now up to 7. I think the last time I talked to you guys, it was at 2.
Yeah.
So we're making progress.
Yeah.
And then, and there's a possibility that we could move to 8 today if Kobe Brea, the sharpshooter from Dayton, decides to commit.
So
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
So here, Alabama kind of went through the same thing. Kalen DeBoer comes in, and there was a lot of people that okay, we got to wait to see what he's going to do recruiting-wise. You know, Nick Saban brought in all these great players. John Calipari brought in a lot of great players there in Kentucky. Is what Mark Pope bringing in, is this like, okay, hey, is this saying this guy here, I mean, he's bringing in some good dudes that can play and compete as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think for Kentucky fans, it's an adjustment because you're used to getting the 5-star freshmen, right? These are more like 4-star seniors in college, and that's not a bad thing. I think Kentucky fans have wanted to go older, and clearly that's what Pope's trying to do. I think it's interesting with the transfer portal, how things are going now. It's kind of like you have to figure out the timing of everything. You know, I think Pope wanted great Osabor, but Osabor wanted to take the rest of his visits. You know, he's got visits lined up to Louisville. He's going to Texas Tech. He's going to Washington. His family flew over from England to go with him on those visits. And I think Kentucky wanted to get a commitment yesterday, but I think that Osabor wanted to go through the process. And so they just kind of decided with the addition of Brandon Garrison, you know, we'll just part ways and shake hands and say, you know, hope it works out. But yeah, it's been an adjustment for Kentucky fans. I don't know if there's a player on the roster so far who's a star per se. It could come in the form of Jackson Robinson, the BYU star who's now in the portal, but he's also testing the NBA draft waters. So we may not know his decision until that draft deadline, which is at the end of May. So it's kind of like a wait and see kind of thing. I think Kobe Brea, the shooter from Dayton, he would be a substantial get for Kentucky. He's the nation's top 3-point shooter. He shot 49.8% from the outside last year. He made 100 threes. So I think that would be a big, big get, and hopefully it happens today.
Yeah, it would be. It would be a great shooter in Mark Pope's system. But speaking of Mark Pope, that coaching staff, I think it wouldn't be a stretch saying, Tyler, that it couldn't have worked out any better, really, for Mark Pope, especially, and I know it took a few days, but being able to get Alvin Brooks III away from Baylor, who's one of the best assistants in the country. He's helped Scott Drew build a great program over there. But I thought having him kind of as the cherry on top of the sundae, along with the other members of that staff, including Mark Fox, who's a long-time established coach, not just in the SEC, but in college basketball, did a great job at Nevada as well. I know it didn't work out as well at Cal, but he's very, very experienced, and he's going to be an outstanding shoulder for Pope to lean on a little bit from an X's and O's standpoint. And then you get Jason Hart, and, of course, he brought, an assistant with him from BYU. But I just, from looking at it, and I know there was some angst when he was first hired, but that staff, I mean, when you're talking about Mark Fox, Corey Fugger, and then Hart and Brooks, that's pretty strong in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if there was any concern when Pope was hired about his coaching, it was maybe he's not an ace recruiter like Calipari was. And to his credit, he went out and he brought in ace recruiters. I mean, Alvin Brooks III, I know a lot of Kentucky fans wanted Scott Drew to leave Baylor to come to Kentucky, but Alvin Brooks III is pretty good. You know, he's an elite recruiter. He was, Scott Drew's right-hand man, and it's already manifesting in the form of Brandon Garrison. Garrison used to play at Oklahoma State. Brooks was very familiar with him playing in the Big 12, and they were able to bring him in, and I think that's a big part because of Brooks. And, the staff has been great so far. You mentioned Jason Hart. He used to be the head coach of the G League Ignite, which has since, disbanded. But so he's got those connections, and Kobe Fieger is, a young X's and O's guru. He was kind of Pope's right-hand man at BYU. And then Mark Fox actually gave Mark Pope his first job in coaching at Georgia. So it's a really interesting group, and it's really fun for Kentucky fans because they're all very active on social media, which I don't think any of the current or the former staff members were. So you've got Kobe Fieger. He'll send out like a GIF of a boom, like a bomb or something. And then, 30 minutes later, the news will drop that there's a commitment. So it's really fun. You know, it's cool to see them interacting with Kentucky fans online, and it's just another reason why this change has been so refreshing.
How is he Mark Pope trying to blend in, trying to get a roster built, not filling in spots, but built, but also trying to lay a foundation and recruit high school guys for the future at the same time?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I think the immediacy of the transfer portal has kind of prioritized bringing in veteran guys so far. But, you know, the EYBL circuit has just started up, I think, last week. And so in 2 weeks, he'll be in the Indianapolis stop, you know, finally able to get out onto the recruiting circuit and make his name. But they've already been reaching out to certain guys. You know, AJ DiBenza, who's like potentially the best player in the 2025 class, has heard from Kentucky. And they're reaching out to former targets who Calipari had initially reached out to. It's going to be a balancing act. But, you know, Mark Pope has made it clear that just because he may be prioritizing some of these older players doesn't mean he's not going to go after elite high school talent. He was on my coworker Matt's radio show, Matt Jones, earlier this week, and said that, you know, it's Kentucky. Of course you're going to chase those elite guys, the best of the best. And it wasn't just Cal that did that. It was Patino. It was Tubby. It was Joby Hall, you know, all the great coaches that have come through the program. So I think it's definitely comforting for Kentucky fans to hear that just because you may be going after the older players doesn't mean you're giving up on the five-star recruits as well.
No, I think it's going to be a nice mix. I think that's what you have to do, and it seems as though Mark Pope understands that. He understands how to build a roster. And he understands also the platform he has at Kentucky, and it's going to give him a shot at those high-level guys. But he also knows that you have to have, core guys. And the thing about this first team that he's bringing into Kentucky is not necessarily – some of them are seniors, but there will probably be a few of these guys that are going to be on the team for a couple of seasons, not just one and done. And you talked about the Kentucky fans being more drawn to that, and it had kind of gone stale under Coach Calipari.
Yeah, it had. I mean, I think Kentucky fans had gotten used to the one-and-done system, but in the last 4 or 5 years, there weren't as many one-and-dones, or if they were transferring to other schools, and just some kind of continuity is good. And I think another refreshing thing that's happened is Pope is going after guys who are known as defensive specialists.
Yes.
There was a really great stat that came out yesterday from Evan Miyakawa, who said that 4 of the top 25 defenders who are in the portal are coming to Kentucky. So you've got Amari Williams, Otega Owa from Oklahoma, Lamont Butler from San Diego State, and Brandon Garrison. They all ranked in the top 25, defense of portal targets, and that's huge. Kentucky had kind of gone away from the defensive focus, and although, Mark Pope, his system is obviously known for offense and three-point shooters and things like that, but I think a focus on defense so far has been really, really refreshing.
Boy, the way it should be in Kentucky, talking all about basketball, and Mark Stoops and football just kind of being out there in the distance.
I didn't say that.
I don't know about that.
I'm just having to know that we get people call in and telling us that, basketball is still, it's funny how it's just right now that's just the topic is because of basketball trying to fill the roster. I'm not saying that.
Right. Yeah, and I think actually, there was kind of some friction between Calipari and Stoops in recent years, going back to the whole basketball school versus football school comments and the debate of, I think it was August 2022. And so they weren't exactly best friends. So it'll be interesting to see how Stoops and Pope, the two Marks get along, and if it's more of a hand-in-hand kind of thing. And I think Kentucky fans are definitely excited for football, too. I mean, we're coming off spring practice, and everybody's curious about Brock Vandegrift and, the new guys. So there's room for both in our heart.
Oh, I don't think there's any question.
I know there is.
But they're definitely
yeah,
there is, but they're just excited for the new era of Kentucky basketball. I'm intrigued just because I watched Pope's teams at BYU. I think he did a great job. I wasn't anticipating him getting the job. I don't think anyone was, but now that he has, the moves that he's made are very intriguing. I know you talked about Brea potentially picking Kentucky today. Who else are guys kind of to watch, Tower, that he's in the mix for? Because I know he was quoted the other day as saying there was a pool of players that they were working to try to fill out this roster in the coming days.
Yeah, so he said he has a big board in his office with 29 targets on it, which is kind of incredible because we've been tracking all the movements that we can, and I'd say our big board has maybe 10 people on it. So we're all very curious. We'd love to sneak in there and see what that board looks like. Obviously, Brea is the immediate focus as he's wrapping up his visit today. Wooga Poplar is a name that, Kentucky had been in contact with him and, whenever he came into the portal, but now he says he's probably going to take a visit, which is big. He's a guard from Miami. And then Jackson Robinson is probably the big fish out there that Kentucky fans would love to add to the roster. He was a star at BYU and could really add something on the wing to this team as a 3-level scorer. But we'll see. Like I said, he's deciding whether or not to enter or to go through the NBA draft. He's testing the waters right now and getting feedback. Some other names include, TJ Bamba, Kadari Richmond, Adu Thiero, who was at Kentucky for the last 2 seasons, is still in the portal, but I don't think he's going to end up coming back to Kentucky. I think he'll probably end up at UNC or Pitt. So it'll be interesting. And like I said, there could be a name that pops up today that enters the portal, and we'll all get very excited about that, hopefully.
Yeah, remember,
it's never dull,
midnight.
that's for sure.
Midnight. The window closes.
Everybody watching.
Could be another late night for us.
Does it get, how do you try to keep up? How can you keep up with
Well, they have a big
everything?
staff at KSR.
I know, but it's got to be just exhausting.
Right.
Oh, it's interesting. I went out of town on Friday for a long weekend with my mom, and I swear it was like the minute I left my desk, news started breaking, and I got back to town, and I tried to keep up as best I could on my phone, but it's like a whole new group of names. We had 3 commitments happen, and if you look up for 1 second, you've missed something. So it's wild, but it's fun. Since what was the last time that we had to build a roster from scratch at Kentucky? So it's been wild. So, I'm here for it. I'm here for the madness.
Oh, I've been fascinated to see it, no doubt about it. But we always appreciate you coming on and
we do.
Updating us, and let everybody know how to follow you and, of course, the great staff you guys have at KSR.
Sure. You can follow me on Twitter at Mrs. Tyler KSR or follow our work at KentuckySportsRadio.com.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Tyler.
Thanks, Tyler.
All right. Thanks, guys.
That's some good stuff, isn't it?
No, that's great stuff.
Isn't it good?
So well versed in what's going on.
Can you imagine, though, waking up one morning as a college basketball coach and having nobody on your roster, and all of a sudden you've got to try building it with 13 guys?
For a couple of days.
And you're a major blue blood?
I mean, for a few days there, even after, Cal went to Arkansas officially, they had neither really had any players, or I think Arkansas had 1 walk-on.
No.
Now Arkansas is getting commitments. We're probably going to try to talk some Arkansas hoops tomorrow.
It'd be easy to have a team lunch because you would just have to buy dinner or at least lunch for one.
At some point this week, we probably need to talk Arkansas. I mean, they're just adding guys,
they're building it as fast as they're too.
They just got the number 1 guy out of the portal. My man out of Florida Atlantic.
Yeah. All right, your guy out of Florida Atlantic.
I mean, he led him to the Final Four 2 years ago, man.
Oh,
I can play.
They can win a national championship in basketball.
We'll see. I mean, they need to at least get out of the first weekend with all that talent.
Let's get a break in, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's wrap it all up next.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH Sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
His blind spot? And the car's on fire. I definitely don't recommend that. This is one of my recurring nightmares.
Progressive is all about keeping it safe, so bundle your home and auto for 24/7 protection. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Coverage not provided for monster trucks. Not available in all states.
Spring is in the air, making it a great time to make plans to visit the Lodge at Gunnersville State Park. The Lodge at Gunnersville State Park sits on a cliff overlooking beautiful Gunnersville Lake with vistas from the cliffside rooms as well as the Pinecrest Room, the Lodge's premier restaurant. And as the weather warms, enjoy the gorgeous pool that overlooks the lake as well. The park also features cabins, a beach, and a boat launch, so bring your boat to take the fun to the lake. The Lodge at Gunnersville State Park. Book your visit today.
Make your taste buds come alive with a visit to Huntsville's newest taste sensation, Salt Factory Pub at Mid-City, offering a creative menu featuring a variety of classic comfort foods with international influences. Salt Factory Pub is the perfect destination for everyone. Salt Factory Pub also has an unbeatable beer list of more than 50 different draft and bottled brews. Just a short walk from the Orion Amphitheater, Salt Factory Pub is the perfect spot for great food in an inviting and casual atmosphere. Find out more online at salthuntsville.com.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
So there is something good coming out of the fact that Birmingham Southern closed their doors.
Yeah, well, that's sad. We were hated to hear that.
There is something positive, though, coming out of it, and that is Chris Graves, who spent 13 years as their head basketball
really good
coach.
Hire.
Now has a new job, and he will be the new head basketball coach for the Albertville Aggies.
Yeah, because after 1 year, Major Deacon moving on to Thompson, going back to where he was an assistant coach for Drew Powell. But, Chris Graves, really good hire by Albertville, and hated to, Coach Graves did a great job with that program at Birmingham Southern. But as we said, the school is closing, and so, really
that's the
good
negative
move for
that it's
Albertville.
closing. The positive is that he was able to find a job. Going from Division III now, and he'll lead Albertville.
Yeah, he won't be making what John L. Davis is making for Arkansas, though, north of a mill. My man coming over from FAU. Of course, he wants to turn pro, but he's very likely to play for the Hogs.
Chris, he could get some Pasquales.
Oh, yeah, that's some good stuff, man.
He could get some Pasquales over there.
Brandon, have you ever been to Pasquales?
Yeah, I've been to Pasquale's in Rome. I don't know if it's the same as there.
Yeah.
It may be just as good.
Yeah.
Well, Blue Oak Barbecue out of New Orleans opened up in Huntsville over near the Orion. And I need Scott to go try it out and let me know, because I've been to the one in New Orleans, but I have not been to the one over there.
All right. Well, I need somewhere for lunch for today, so that may work. Blue Oak. Okay. I'll try that. I'll try that. I need something for lunch for today.
Well, I went to the Salt Factory Pub and had some barbecued shrimp and grits. It was pretty good.
Was it good?
Yeah. I'm not usually a grits person, but it's pretty dadgum good.
All right. Good. I see you stepping out.
Yeah.
All right.
Trying something different.
Bougie these days.
Here we go. Wild turkey
in the dugout.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see